loving it. Okay, we have another one here from Kirk. Kirk says, what are your thoughts on the best area on Oahu for resale value of a single family home? Kapolei or Ewa or Kailua or Kaneohe area? What would you say, Scott?
Yeah, so I'm the numbers guy. I've overanalyzed this stuff to death over the years, just being the developer and the investor and stuff. I mean, Kailua is always going to hold its value. The reality is no area appreciates in an accelerated fashion more so than another. It's typically 4.5% roughly over time. You're safe going in any of these areas because we're limited in land. That's one thing about Hawaii and Oahu in particular is, and I had this conversation with a client the other day, Diamond Head is always Diamond Head. You know, Kapolei is always going to be Kapolei. You can't go 2-3 more miles down the road like you can in Phoenix, Arizona, and start a new subdivision, and yours becomes the old subdivision, and that's less desirable than the new subdivision. We have significant consistency because of the lack of supply. We're landlocked and limited. So therefore, the performance over time is going to be consistent all around. If Kailua was to take off in a trajectory, all of a sudden Ewa is going to look like a value and going to follow right behind it. So you're safe.
So really, it's sort of like overall, the island as a whole has the resale values don't vary that much. Dylan, is that the same thing on the Big Island? Is there much variance in terms of growth rates of resale value of one versus the other, or is it kind of just pretty much the like the old a rising tide rises all ships kind of a thing in on the Big Island?
Not necessarily. The real rural areas of the island, over the years have become, I don't want to say less desirable, but with the shutdown of sugar and other agricultural operations, there was less demand for housing, and so other things followed suit. Right, grocery stores closed down, other shops closed down. So in the real rural areas of the island, I mean, it still appreciates over time, but it's slower than the desirable, more built up areas like Kona or Hilo. So that's one thing to consider. I mean, you can still get a really nice house for $250,000-$300,000 in South Kona, South Hilo. But yeah, you're not gonna, is it gonna be $400,000 in a year or two? No way. So, but then it's also just the ratio thing, right? I mean, something that appreciates 10% over 5 years or whatever, that's worth $1 million that's $100,000. If it's $200,000, it's going to be a lot. The ratio is going to be a lot smaller. So sometimes it feels like it's not appreciating as fast, but it's because the raw dollar amount doesn't seem as large when you're looking at a high valued property versus a low valued property.
Excellent. We have to. Scott, you want to add something?
Yeah, one real quick thing is back during 2008, during that crash, what I noticed was the urban core, and from an rental occupancy standpoint, so performance, just consistency and performance, the urban core on Oahu always performs the most consistent. You'll have a little bit of more volatility the further out you get on Oahu. So, for example, urban core only dropped about 5% in price during that downturn. And Ewa dropped about 25% in price. And the reason being is because there were a lot of 100% financing loans that were done out in that section. So you do get a little more volatility the further out you get from the urban core, but overall performance over the time is consistent.
Excellent, guys. We're going to move on. Actually, this